Last week I turned 20. 2 decades, 20 years, 240 months, 1,042.86 weeks, 7,300 days, 175,200 hours, 10,512,000 minutes, and 630,720,000 seconds. While it may seem like this is a long time, it didn't feel long at all. As a close friend of mine says, I'm 1/5 dead, but I like to think I have 4/5 left, give or take a few years, and much more to experience. When I was younger, I would always look up to the older kids around me, observing them, thinking they had it all figured out. They would be in college, and I couldn't wait to be in their shoes. Now I'm in college, and I can confidently say that it's not something to look forward to or look up to. Yes, it's a whole new type of freedom compared to high school, middle school, and definitely elementary school. What I've realized is that whatever stage we're in the present is a stage in which we wish we were in a different stage. I'm sure you've heard your grandmother or mother say, "Oh, how I wish I was young again," or a child saying, "I wish I was a big kid." But what they fail to realize is that any stage of life has its highest of highs and lowest of lows. I wish I could go back in time and tell my younger self to stay young while he can. Life was so simple when I was younger, and I would tell myself to stop looking up to these older people around him. I would also tell him we're going to have a pandemic in about a decade, but nevertheless, no one has life figured out. Looking back at my 20 years on Earth, my memories mostly consist of happy moments, ones that I should have taken in more than I did. I remember sitting on my living room floor, watching Osmosis Jones, not even knowing what osmosis was. I still don't really. But I look back at moments like these fondly, wishing I could go back for a short time. As a child, we don't realize these may be the simplest and most impactful times of our lives. My 20-year-old self looks back and soaks in the blissful feeling of having nothing else to do but look at Chris Rock as a white blood cell for a couple hours. The charm of a child is their innocence and wonder about the world. As an adult, we lose this wonder, this inquisitiveness that causes us to ask about the simplest of things, ones that may seem obvious to the adult being asked these questions. What makes kids' imaginations so wonderful is that they constantly want to learn about the world they were thrust into. But once these kids become adults, they become indifferent to the simple things that once made them smile from ear to ear. For the next 2 decades, 20 years, 240 months, 1,042.86 weeks, 7,300 days, 175,200 hours, 10,512,000 minutes, and 630,720,000 seconds, I hope to keep in mind the curiosity of a child, to remind me of the simple things that I should revel in, not disregard. I'm making it a point to set goals for myself every year, and at the end of the next 20 years, I will have accomplished these goals I've set for myself, while having enjoyed the small things, the indifferent things, the things no one seems to notice. A child's mind is like an open book, and over the last 20 years, I've realized that the only way to be happy is to write your own chapters, and read it back like a child would, with innocence, inquisitiveness, and honesty. Here's to the next 20.